Yes, everybody. I don't know why I did so high pitched. Yes, I do apologise. Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe. Well, just a little impromptu video, really. We've got Hammer's headlines coming up a bit later on, talking about our new stadium owners. And just now, I did a quick video about a couple of departures from West Ham in terms of Thomas Souček potentially, and Edson Alvarez potentially. Now, there's some news that's broke, not West Ham related, but I think it could end up becoming West Ham related, as it's just been announced that Kevin De Bruyne is going to be leaving the club at the end of the season. His contract is very much up, and he has posted on X that he'll be leaving at the end of the season. Obviously, fantastic player. Don't like him as a person. He's very my experiences of him when Man City played at West Ham aren't good. So on the pitch, no doubt he's quality, but off the pitch, questionable. I'll save that for my memoirs. But the reason why it could become West Ham related is Lucas Paqueta. Now, obviously, we zoom back 18 months, and he was very much the talk of the town when it came to Man City. Pep wanted to bring him and was offering, it was like 70, 80 million pounds, if I can remember at the time, which should have been, not quite double the money we paid when we bought him from Lyon, but 70-75% on top of what we originally paid them. And then it quickly went by the wayside when the allegations, the match spot fixing allegations, were brought up, and City were in their rights. Went, I think we'll hang fire. Obviously, we roll forward 18 months, and we're just finishing the third week of the hearing. We believed it was going to take about 3 weeks, so we would imagine maybe even a decision made imminently after the hearing next week sometime, but we don't know. No one really knows, to be honest. But what was interesting was the vibes from West Ham and also Paqueta's legal team were that there wasn't really much substantial evidence which would pin Lucas to the crime, so to speak. It was very much circumstantial. The fact is, it was almost by association, by the fact his uncle was there and his uncle was the main person involved. But as I said, it's not a legal sort of a criminal hearing, so it's probable cause rather than sort of actual, so the bar for him to be found guilty is a lot lower than if it was a criminal court. Of course, if he is found guilty, there will, I imagine, be some challenges and appeals against that hearing. But if we assume that he is, and everyone's innocent until proved guilty, if he is found innocent, then with Kevin De Bruyne leaving, there's a big midfieldy maverick type hole, which could mean that Pep comes back in for Lucas Paqueta. Now, I'm not suggesting that actually he'll be the type of money that they offered him 18 months ago, but I would imagine a sizable fee could be on the cards there, and then that potentially puts into question whether the whole Kudus saga comes to an end, because losing Kudus and Paqueta potentially in the same window would be, I think, potentially cataclysmic. That's a good word. And actually, David Ornstein today revealed he actually has 3 release clauses. Kudus has not 1, not 2, but 3 release clauses. He's got 3 release clauses. 80 million for European sides, 85 million for Premier League sides, and 120 million pounds for Saudi Pro League sides if they want to take him on their books. So Al-Azir, but apparently also it's due to only be active for the first 10 days in July, which don't fucking help anyone really, because we aren't the UK, or the English transfer window opens on the 1st of June, closes on the 10th of June, reopens on the 16th. So, and I think we definitely need people in from the 1st of June. That first period, it'd be good to see some movement there. And with a sizable chunk of change from our transfer budget potentially resting on the fee that we get for Mohamed Kudus, it could be mid-July before potentially he has the 120 million or later, and so we could be in a situation where we're not, and actually people will be they'll be back for pre-season already, or coming into pre-season. Of course, we've got the summer series in the States as well. Yeah, don't help anyone that timing, to be honest. But it's not not deux, but trois release clauses. But what do you think? Yeah, do you think City will go for Paqueta as a sort of, not as a direct replacement for De Bruyne, but as a body to start sort of taking the mantle over from Kevin? I don't know. For me, I'm never sure how Paqueta would fare in a top four side. Do you know what I mean? He's very much has like a carte blanche, a sort of way of playing at West Ham. He drifts in and out. He does what he wants. Really, I think he's not a free roll as such, but he does seem to drift around a bit. And I don't know whether maybe having a rigid position under Pep potentially could. It reminds me of Carlos Tevez when he first signed for us, and he ran about like a fucking idiot, all over the place, like a headless chicken, trying to get involved in everything. And so much so you didn't get the Carlos Tevez we got in the last half dozen games, which kept us up with the Great Escape. But let me know your thoughts. I've just seen it, and I've just put two and two together, and we've just been chatting about it in our West Ham Network WhatsApp group. And I think, do you know what? It's great to get other people's thoughts on that as well. Kevin De Bruyne leaving, great player on the pitch. Not a fan of him off the pitch. But would Paqueta be his replacement? And would Pep go back in for him? We know he's always had a long-standing, I used to call it Moisey hard on, but he always used to have, he's always had a soft spot for Paqueta. But we have seen a resurgent Paqueta after since Potter's come in. He's had a few back-to-back games now, full 90s. Not necessarily the level we see. I think we've only really seen him at that level that we were well accustomed to him under 18 months ago. That Newcastle game away under Lopetegui, that was the old Paqueta. But I don't know. I haven't got all the answers. That's why I ask you guys, because you seem to know all the fucking answers. Anyway, take care, everyone. Stay safe, stay warm, stay humble. Enjoy the rest of the day. I'll be back for Hammers Headlines talking about our new stadium owners. Now, I've heard for kids for £1, but a stadium for £1? Not £1 fish, man. £1 stadium, man. Much love. Bye-bye.